Welcome to the Strenuous Life Radio, the podcast where leaderpreneurs, entrepreneurs, men and women can learn the essentials and human skills of the strenuous life. Hello, folks. Welcome on board the Strenuous Life Radio. Top of the afternoon. I want to apologize for not podcasting to you sooner. The title of this episode is called SP 35, Take Responsibility, with Jim Rohn. And then, after that, I promise you by tomorrow, JR will be back in the saddle. He's itching to come back. So, but without any further ado, Jim Rohn.
Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you've passed from childhood to adulthood, the day you accept full responsibility. And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you do well, and without complaint if you don't. That's maturity. I used to have that long list of reasons why I wasn't doing well. To explain. You got to explain, right? Otherwise you're going to look bad. I used to have this funny list called Reasons for Not Looking Good. I used to blame the government. I mean, you can believe that or not, it was at the top of my list. I had a lecture second to none. The government. That was on my list. I used to blame taxes. Look what you got left after they take everything. And they expect you to do well. That was on my list there. Prices, that one's easy, right? You walk into the supermarket with $20, come out with a little half bag. So I had that on the list. I used to blame the weather. I blamed the traffic. I used to blame my car. I blamed the manufacturers. I used to blame the company. I blamed company policy. I used to blame the training program. I blame my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. I blame my cynical neighbors. They're just selfish, looking out for themselves. Won't loan you money? They were on my list. I used to blame the economy. I blame the community. That's a pretty good list for not doing well, isn't it? I thought it was good. I'll never forget one day. Mr. Schoaf was very kind, but he was also very blunt. And this was no exception. And I'm glad he was blunt. There's a lot of things I'd have missed if he hadn't have been blunt. One day, with sort of a curious look on his face, he said, "Jim, just out of curiosity, tell me, how come you haven't done well up until now?" Excellent question. I thought, well, so I won't look too bad, I'll go through my list. And this list I just gave you, I put that on him. And he was very patient. He let me go through the whole thing, the government, the weather. I went through this whole thing. When I finished, he looked my list over very carefully. He said, "Mr. Rohn, big problem with your list. You ain't on it." Brilliant. When I went to work for him a few months later, I learned very quickly to tear up my list, reasons for not doing well, and I threw it away. And I got me a fresh piece of paper. And I put one word on it. Me. There's a Black Heritage spiritual that says it's not my mother nor my father nor my brother nor my sister, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. See, I used to blame everything outside. And then let me give you a little philosophy that helped turn my life around. For your notes, here it is. It's not what happens that determines the quality or the quantity of your life. It's not what happens. And the reason is because what happens to about everybody. No different. The sun went down on all of us last night. A common event, a happening. And I found out that the same things can happen to two different people. One gets rich and one stays poor. Why is that? It's because it's not what happens, but rather it's what you do that changes everything. So that's a key phrase. It's not what happens, it's what you do. What happens is about the same. You might put that in parentheses here. Same. What people do, that's what's different. Anything can happen, right? Everything can happen. I've heard all the stories. I've been one of the stories. Hey, we could all tell stories all night long, right? Happenings. Anything can happen. Have you heard of Murphy's Laws? Anybody here heard of Murphy's Laws? Okay, most of you have. Murph had these laws. One of them was, if anything can go wrong, it will. That's one of Murphy's laws. He was not one of the great positive speakers of the day. But anyway, it's still true though, right? Anything can go wrong, everything can go wrong. For sure. I've fallen out of the sky so many times. Once to the tune of a couple of million. Devastating. Took me a while to survive that one. Now, it wasn't all that much, but it was all I had. I mean, that's when it's much, right? When it's all you got. If you got 3 to go, you got 1 left. You ain't looking that bad. But when it all goes. Has anybody been there when it all went? Anybody? Come on, the rest of you liars. Hey, we've all been there, right? When it all went. Of course, it used to be a long time ago, right? When you ran out of money, got to 0, you were all through. Heck, now you can whistle right on by 0, right? I mean, they will bury you. That's what they will do. But see, those are the happenings, right? Everything can happen. Anything can happen. But it's not the happenings. It's what you do about it. Somebody says, yeah, but you don't understand the disappointments I've had. Come on. Everybody's had their share. Disappointments are not special gifts reserved for the poor. Everybody has them. The difference is what you do about it. It's not the weather. I used to blame the weather, and I discovered it rains on the rich. So see, that won't help. 2 men wake up one morning, there's a rainstorm on. One of them looks out his window, sees the rainstorm, and he says, wow, what a storm. With weather like this, they can't expect you to go out and make sales. He stays home. Same morning, the other guy looks out his window, sees the same storm, says, wow, what a storm. But he says, you know what, with weather like this, what a great day to go out and make sales. Most everybody will probably be home. Especially the salesman. See, that's the difference in how your life works out. It's not what happens, it's what you do. So here's one of the key questions of the evening. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Now see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's gonna be the same.
Jim Rohn, I'll tell you something, he speaks the truth. He really does. You know, we can sit there and complain of all these other different factors. Sit there and complain about what's going on in politics with what's going on in our lives. But I think it all boils down to what we choose, how we act, and how we pursue happiness. If we don't take, and I know, I'm perfected this art myself, and I'm 53 years old. But this part of taking responsibility, it removes you from the doctrine of the double E's and causes you to lead a strenuous life. Last September, I went to see my friend Bishop Dave. He's a friend of the Strenuous Life Radio. And I noticed some people in Utah were living some pretty good strenuous lives. They were living well. They were living decently well. And I can praise God for that. I can praise God for that and know that He has my best interest at heart. At the same time, though, I know He calls us to take responsibility, to be responsible. Not too long ago today, I was sitting there kind of feeling sad for myself, feeling lonely, wondering if anything was ever going to, happen, self-pity. Self-pity don't help you when you need to take responsibility. And so I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I'm on loose hands. I'm lonely. And he said, well, there's one podcast you still have to do. So guess what? That's what I'm doing. If we sit there and depend on what's going to happen to us to make things better all the time and constantly react, that does us no good. That's buying into the doctrine of ignoble ease. Too many people in America today are sitting there reacting to what the news says, reacting to what the government says, instead of agreeing to just take the bull by the horns and say, hey, you know what? I ain't doing this no more. What's lots of kids' dreams? I had a nephew, 5, 6, 7 years old. I think his dream was to be a cop. As he got a little bit older, he wanted to be like his daddy. We all have role models. But you know what? You got a good role model, a good coach. They're going to tell you to take responsibility. Stop making excuses. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, the buck stops here. Start looking for what you're looking for. Because if you don't take responsibility to achieve your dreams, deep down you know you're lying to yourself. And how can you expect anybody else to believe in your dreams if it's that way? If you want to take the island, dang it, you've got to burn the boats. Believe in yourself. And take responsibility for yourself. It's easy to be like the rest of the world and be a cop-out. But being a cop-out is stupidity. How many times are we going to play this game? Sit there, oh, it's the government's fault. There's bad economy claiming it's the government's fault. Lots of people are doing that. My question is, and it's a question of the James Hendrick School of Leadership, the James Hendrick Empowerment Network, is, what are you doing about it? They said they just sit there, fart around, check on Netflix, fart around, dart around, and not take responsibility. It doesn't help you worth a dang bit. Not one dang bit. You've got to grow up a little bit. Take responsibility, for Pete's sake. What it comes down to. Now, I hope you enjoy listening to the Strenuous Life Radio. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the Strenuous Life Radio family. This is Jimi Hendrix saying until next time, don't just sit there and take it. Build your dreams so you can take it. Do what others don't so you can be what others won't. And do what others won't so you can have what others can't. Think strong, and live the strenuous life. God bless you. And remember this, from the bottom of my heart, Jimmy loves you. I really love you.